Ooh, Transform 2. My feeling on Transform 2 on Watcher is it makes the run a lot more difficult. But if I'm willing to think, I think it should be fine. I have a gust in 30 minutes. We'll give it a go. Oh. Okay, I just went. Okay. Yeah, I think if you get Wheel Kick and Mental Fortress, you're probably set. If Megakurt's next game is competitive multiplayer, that'll be cool. And I probably won't like it. So it takes 3? I would play it still. I would, like, give it a chance. But I would not expect to like it. Competitive multiplayer is not really my vibe. When I do like competitive multiplayer games, it's usually because they have something that feels like single player. Like, Trackmania is kind of a competitive multiplayer game, but the way that I play it, it's just single player, pretty much. And with Moda is still here. When I play League, there have been times in my life where I've played League. It's generally indicative of me not being in a great mental state. Trying to work out if I want Meditate or Empty Fist. I think I take Meditate because of Wheel Kick. I just already have a pretty big attack. Uh-oh. I didn't draw it. Is chess competitive multiplayer? I don't know. I feel like if you go to a chess club it is. But if you're just like sitting at home on your phone, it doesn't really feel like it. Feels more like you're playing against yourself. This is too much math. Somebody else tell me how to play this turn, please. Oh, this one? Simply play everything left to right order. What if I just do that for the rest of the run? It's probably not very good with a Meditate in your deck, huh? I could have double Flurry if I had taken Empty Fist. I don't know if I can really justify double Flurry without Empty Fist. I might just take it anyway. We'll make it work. The easiest sequence you see is pressing end turn. That feels like a ChatGPT comment. ChatGPT would press end turn here. Oh, Mamori. I could see Ragnarok being right in a Hexaghost act. Low Ascension. Could also see it being wrong. I already have a Talk to the Hand, which makes Ragnarok a lot better. I'm gonna skip it. I'm gonna upgrade for more damage, which is like... Meditate's actually an okay damage upgrade, so is Wheel Kick. How much do we have to give to charity to get me to let ChatGPT play? That could be a... I don't like ChatGPT is the problem. It feels like it would be a fun thing to do, except that I don't like ChatGPT like at all. It just makes my skin crawl. Why is the robot talking to me and pretending to be human? That's not what robots are for. Like an extra 1,000. One of the things you inevitably start wondering if you do charity work as a streamer is, given that I'm willing to give up my time to raise money for charity, shouldn't I also be willing to give up other things? Like my belief in what is right? Shouldn't I be willing to like take a sponsorship from Raytheon and then give the money from the sponsorship from Raytheon to war veterans or something? I don't know. I feel like it's a slippery slope. That's an easy one. You should not take a sponsorship from Raytheon. Ah, my bad. Well, that's going to be awkward later this week. Do I want to be associated with X company? I feel like my time spent raising money for charity is about what I want. Like a little bit, but the main thing is I want to raise money for the cause that I'm raising money for. Wookie, thanks for the 2 years. I appreciate it. I hope you're doing well. This depends on whether or not the corporation is pro-Catgirl. I guess I didn't consider that. I do love that I got to ask Casey why fights like this existed. Casey, who balanced this game? You're welcome, Wookie. Double talk's okay. I don't need this anymore. Ooh. I don't really have any block cards to take advantage of that. I'm actually gonna upgrade Mental Fortress. Is that just silly? Kind of. I'm just thinking about fights where Talk to the Hand doesn't work very well, which feel like they exist. I think we beat Hexaghost. I've never done a volume challenge like this before. It's really hard for me to gauge how well it's going. Like, am I tired? Kind of. Another establishment run? So I'm trying to just make it so establishment is good every time. And it feels doable. I guess with double flurry and kunai, I keep defense. Because I feel like as you move away from going infinite with Watcher every run, like the first thing that starts getting good as you care less about skipping cards is Meditate Establishment. It's like the closest thing to being infinite in terms of the Venn diagram of synergies or whatever. So seeing how it feels to try to make Establishment good every run feels like a first exploration that makes sense. Do you ever not take Relic there in case it's Dead Branch? No. Especially here, like, I can just win if I get Dead Branch, that's fine. Would I say that I'm pro-establishment? Sounds like it. Retaining with Meditate triggers Establishment, yeah. That is the point, as it were. I do have a Toxic Egg. I guess I'll take some fights. Judged. It's always interesting to me how rapidly cards change in value. Like, I feel like if I'm trying to make Meditate Establishment always good, Protect becomes pretty decent pretty quickly. The Sea of Reality is the same sort of card as Protect, so I think I take this here, especially with Kunai. Or if I'm just trying to go infinite every run, Protect does not feel like a very good card at all. Feels quite bad. Ow! A Protect Plus. Okay, I don't know. Let's try taking more of these Retain block cards again. The fiddly thing that I'm trying to work out is how do you not take a bunch of damage on turn 1. Especially in a situation where I feel like I should be pretty safely winning the run already. Thanks, Dayflower. I think my eating has been okay today. I think I've been doing some okay eating. A Wallop. Wallop is probably the sort of card that helps us in turn 1 a decent amount. I'm a little bit concerned about my card draw, or lack thereof. Maybe I give up one elite fight down the right side to get this extra shop for another card remove. Alternately, I could take Singing Bowl and just have 100 max HP. How good's Toolbox? Probably okay. You won the chat run. Just barely. Kinda want Crescendo, but it feels expensive. It doesn't help with turn 1. Raven, thanks for 49 months! Else? Chat 1 despite Jorbs trying to grief. Is that what happened? Good to know, good to know. I did remove our claw several times, and then it kept on coming back. We even took Echo Form to play it twice. I don't know. This Jorbs fella. Is he even trying to win? I'm an out-of-touch CEO who has no idea about how anything works and chat is the workforce keeping the company afloat. I feel like... Now, I appreciate you all, but I feel like I'm the only one doing any work here. Sometimes the mods do some work. I feel like I'm working an awful lot for an out-of-touch CEO. Exactly what an out-of-touch CEO would say. That's fair. I think as a watcher, you can just rest here, probably. I can also choose not to rest here. Out of touch in a room by himself. Guilty. I get the pun now. I don't know if it was your best work. It does make me a little upset, so... I guess it is a good pun. I thought CEOs are supposed to do most of the work, that's why they get paid 500,000 times more than a regular human. Yep, fair enough. I do have to earn my pay. Scrawl plus. Deal. What was number 2 there? We play flurries, corruption. I just realized this isn't enough block. It's kind of wild. I'll play an empty fist then. Happy holidays, Rado! So just in terms of like, what did Mutta call it? You have to be accountable or whatever. Self-accountability. In terms of self-accountability, I said I was going to take a break before my next guest arrived and go have some food and sit and eat. I am now almost at the end of Act 2 and I still have half of the food in the bowl. Thanks, MayhemMermaid. I'm pretty much ready. Have a few more bites here. Buzzer, that's the hardest you've made me laugh in a while. Wait, you are a cat girl? Oh my god, people are gonna love you here. We have a nearly violent, I would say, cat girl faction in the channel. All right. Do you know where to go on Discord? I am ready to chat. So ready. Hello.
Hi.
If you want to be on camera, I can try to... I'll have to capture it from the window, but I'll work it out.
Okay. Let's see.
Can I... Hold on, I think I can send you my camera directly with the Discord call, which might be better. Let's find out. Ah! There I am.
Perfect.
Do you prefer username or first name?
I'm fine with either.
Okay.
But just to like introduce myself, my name's Natalie. I also go by Mermaid, so either one is fine.
Perfect. And for those of you who don't know what's going on this week, we are raising money for Free to Love, which is a charity which raises money to fund art programs for youth. Things like drama and visual art and music and other things. There's so much art. There's so many arts. Anyway, and teach kids to love and accept themselves and to love and accept others. So that is the message of the charity. I think it's an important charity in today's world where social media doesn't really teach us that, I wouldn't say,
Yes.
at least not all the time.
Agreed.
And especially this time of year.
Which I feel like is most important because not necessarily everybody has people that they regularly come together with this time of year. So it's nice to have something to look forward to while everyone else is with their families and friends and other loved ones that they might spend this time with.
Yes. Can you turn your microphone up a little bit on Discord? Do you have the ability?
Let me see. I think it might be all the way up.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's all the way up. I can up my gain on the mic itself.
I think 4 decibels mic gain would be good.
Okay, let's see.
you would like to apply to be a guest on my stream. If you pitch me something that you want to talk about, especially related to things you've really enjoyed in gaming or online communities this year, like I have someone who's a viewer of the channel coming on to talk about the Kaizo speedrunning community in Mario Maker. Mermaid is upping her game even further. Not quite.
How's this?
Looks pretty good. Looks pretty good.
I definitely should up my game.
Uh-huh. So, tell me a bit about yourself and your 2023. What have been highs for you this year? What's life been like?
This year has probably been the craziest in my career. To preface, I used to be on the support team for Streamlabs. I worked with them for about a year and change. Logitech acquired Streamlabs, and Logitech had a mass layoff this year, and they laid off 300 people, myself included. So I felt in that moment like my dreams just were crushed. I had so many aspirations to connect with creators more while I was working there, and it was just all gone in an instant for me. Nobody was prepared for these layoffs. No one was told ahead of time. So it's not like we could, make plans for what we were doing next. But at the same time, looking back on it now, it was one of the best things that could have ever happened to me, because I found another job in tech, but it's not streaming related. So I'm now able to focus all of my creative energy into my streams and my Discord and just community building and all of these things that I've been doing over since the summertime until now. So this summer, on a whim, I just casually applied to a mentorship program with a nonprofit called Queer Women of Esports. And I didn't think anything of it at the time. I was just like, let me see how this goes. And I got accepted about 2 weeks later, and I was just like, oh, okay. And I swear everything changed for me since then. I went to PAX West for the first time. That was also my first time going to the West Coast in general, which was just crazy. So I was in Seattle for a couple of days for that. And then I presented my capstone project, which is how you and I met, because I used your book for it. And they initially had only 3 prizes for these projects, and they added a 4th one, which I ended up getting. So that was just really great to see, because I put a lot of heart into that video, and obviously
it was really good.
I didn't go into it. Thank you. I didn't go into it with expectations of anything. I just wanted to share all of these things that I learned since my layoff, and what gave me this passion to give everything a shot in my own way. And now I'm also in the Twitch Women's Guild and Latin Guild, which I feel like was fueled from this mentorship program, because had I not joined it, I wouldn't have gone to PAX, and had I not gone to PAX, I wouldn't have met one of the Women's Guild leaders who gave me the interest form to apply to the guilds, and now I'm in that. And now I'm a mentor for the Women's Guild as well, which that just happened like a couple weeks ago. So everything just completely shifted in my life over the past, I'd say, 6 months, and I'm really excited to see what next year brings for me.
And you mentioned you got a new job in tech that isn't taking all of your creative energies. So are you still doing that as well? Yeah,
I've been there for about 8-9 months now. I am a customer experience manager for an AI productive tool. I know AI is a little finicky right now. It's a touchy subject, but I think it's really cool that we're able to use it to save people time, because it's supposed to be a meeting productivity tool. It records your meetings and transcribes them and gives you a summary and gives you action items, so things that are, I guess, next steps in the work that you discussed with everyone in the meeting, and it saves a lot of time. So I feel like while it might not be as efficient when it comes to the creative side of things, I feel like this is a very practical way to use AI. So I'm glad to be a part of that side, because I feel like everything that's happening now, like for example, the trend with the Funko Pop AI
I don't.
art that people are releasing. You haven't heard about that?
Is. No.
So there's Microsoft Edge released a feature called Copilot, which is basically like ChatGPT, and people are using it to create a prompt to make an AI image of them as a Funko Pop, which is like kind of ripping off their designs, and then also not giving the opportunity for actual artists to create these designs for them, because I'm sure that there are so many artists out there who do pop art and would do an incredible job. So that's one side of AI that I'm not for, but I can see how it can be useful for more practical things that people could do with technology now, but it's more of a time saver and an additional tool rather than completely replacing a career for somebody.
Sure. I have friends who have been working on AI writing, but not AI writing like we are going to write your essay for you using plagiarized work. They're training AI off of works of literature that are now in the free domain. What's it called? Their copyright has expired. Like old stuff like Jane Eyre and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Public domain, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
And so you can...
Everyone's saying it in chat now.
Thank you, chat. They're always here for me.
Thanks, chat.
Slightly
also, thank
after
you,
I
everyone,
needed
for
you.
your sweet comments. I appreciate it. Thank you for being so nice. I appreciate you.
So they're making a tool where you can say, like, I want to see what it would be like to write this creative writing project if Edgar Allan Poe was suggesting ways to complete my sentences or something like that. Which is...
I mean, that's fun, but
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I feel like that's so touchy, and it makes me think
It's all
of,
touchy.
funny enough, it makes me think of when Kim Kardashian wore Marilyn Monroe's dress to that show. I'm forgetting the name. It's not coming to me right now.
Yeah.
And everybody was getting really uptight about the fact that that dress is history.
Yeah.
And she was the only one that wore it, and it was in a museum, and it was behind glass, it was protected, and all of these things. And she tainted it because she put it on and it didn't fit quite right, so some of the seams broke a little bit, so it's not the same anymore. And it's like, I feel like that's a kind of metaphoric way to compare to what you're saying now. It's like this person has such incredible history, and there's so much to admire. I loved Edgar Allan Poe's literature. I'm a huge bookworm. I loved reading his stories when I was in school, and when I was introduced to him, he was one of my favorites, and I just picked up more at the library after I learned about him. And just the thought of someone just taking his ideas and trying to make their own through a machine just doesn't sit right with me.
AI is touchy.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm glad that there are some things that just, it makes for something useful. I personally have used it as well, especially for my video essay. I used it for the interviews that I conducted. I uploaded them and I had the transcripts so I could review them more easily, and I didn't have to watch an hour-long video. So it saved me time there, and I was able to just copy paste quotes wherever I needed in my script. But it wasn't something where I was taking away someone else's creativity at all. So
Yep.
it was just me
I think
doing
it's a good
something
place to be aiming.
make it more efficient. Yeah.
What about your year of gaming? You are streaming now,
Yeah.
which I imagine
It's
means that
so
you're
funny.
gaming a lot more.
I don't know why your question brought this thought to my mind, but when I first started streaming, I had never played a Zelda game before.
Okay.
So everyone was saying, hey, you should try Breath of the Wild, and just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. So then that next year I was like, fine, I'll give it a shot. and I kept falling from the same building and just constantly falling from the same place, and it was so frustrating. I ended up rage quitting. And I was like, I'm never playing Zelda again. It was the worst experience. And then I was like, you know what? I'll give it another shot. And I bought Tears of the Kingdom, and I now have over 150 hours on it. So that changed my life completely. I ended up just finishing Link's Awakening today too. Like just before we got on this call, I was playing the finale, beating the final bosses, and I loved it too. So I don't know what it is about Breath of the Wild though. I tried it again after I finished Tears of the Kingdom, and I just couldn't do it. I don't know what it is.
Is Breath of the Wild the most recent one?
No, that's the one that came out when the Switch first came out.
Okay.
Tears of the Kingdom just came out this year.
Okay.
I don't remember when exactly Breath of the Wild came out. Probably like 2017, 18. But it is the prequel, so the story does continue. Yeah, I'm traumatized. I definitely am traumatized. It was fun though. I was able to find the part that I kept falling at, and I was able to do it, but I couldn't play for probably more than an hour after that. But that was probably my most memorable moment this year. Second up, I would say, is playing Spire 2, which I haven't finished yet, but I've been really enjoying it so far. And it's been great to see how they've incorporated the haptic feedback on the PS5 controller a lot more with this game than the first one.
Okay.
So that was really nice.
Cool. As a gamer, I play strategy games. And strategy games, I think, they're less about the new big thing than other games, because so many of them are just like turn-based. Like, the new graphics aren't going to be super cool. They're not going to make incredible use of new graphics cards or whatever. And so every now and then I will actually play a new game. Like, I guess for me this year it was Baldur's Gate 3 was the new big title, but that's not even really a AAA title. I played the latest Assassin's Creed game quite a bit last year, and it just blows my mind.
I haven't picked it up yet.
That was Odyssey, I think, and I am a classicist, so I loved it. It's really fun to move around in that world, see how it was brought to life.
Odyssey's the Greek mythology one. That's my favorite Assassin's Creed. I bought all the DLC. I played the whole thing. I'm obsessed. I love Greek mythology.
Nice.
I'm a nerd about a whole bunch of like little random things. And obviously the mermaid thing.
Sure.
Since the goddess or the god, depending on who you play in the game, their parent is, I'm pretty sure it's Neptune, who is the god of the sea. So it's like there was a lot of water aspects, and I love that the most.
I never told you that I played Odyssey. I played it on stream. Fake fan! I didn't play all of it. I played probably 10 to 20 hours. It's possible that I did it as a... I might have done it as a sponsored stream and then played it really offline, actually. I'm not sure. I don't remember. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
Wasn't at that stream. I mean, if it was just one stream, you said 10 to 20 hours. That's probably like 1/16 of that entire game, because you can just get sucked into all the side quests there. I don't know how long it took me to actually finish the main story, because I would just find some random person who wanted a random item, and I'd go all the way across the map and go get it and bring it back. And then I'm like, okay, now I'll do the main story. And then someone else wanted something else, and it was just, I loved it though. It was very, very therapeutic for me.
There's no way this was in 2018. Apparently this was in 2018. Have you found that your understanding of the passage of time has been damaged by the pandemic? Because I certainly have.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I only specifically know that it came out back then because I remember exactly where I was when I played Odyssey, and it was in 2019. That's the only reason why. But don't ask me about any other games that I didn't specifically binge like that, because I couldn't tell you unless they came out this year.
Yep.
Aside from that, my timeline is wonky. I feel like 2020 to 2022, like early 2022, is all a blur and just meshed together in my head.
Yeah, for sure. I can't believe that was 2018 though. That's a long time ago.
Right?
I'm not sure I believe that. Maybe there was
they've come
DLC
out
for
with-
it, and that's when I played it. I don't
Maybe.
know.
They have come out with 2 other Assassin's Creeds since then. So
I definitely played the Greek mythology one. I remember
That's
there
Odyssey,
was
yeah.
the big statue on the starting island, and I got an achievement for climbing on it in an indescribable
yeah, that's
place.
Odyssey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh.
I vividly remember that. That was a fun quest.
The stream was in October 2018. Oh my god.
That's
That's
so
a long
long
time
ago.
ago.
Oh my god.
I've been streaming for a long time. That's another thing that I am realizing.
Yeah, actually, how long have you been streaming? Because I'm a pandemic streamer. I started in 2020, so I love to hear more about people who have been around for
Sure.
a minute.
I think I started in I think I went full time in 2017, and I started streaming quite a lot in the beginning of 2016. I think it took me like a year or so before I actually went full time. How it worked for me was I was working on a game, a mod for XCOM 2 called Long War 2, and so I kind of disappeared from the internet for 6 months because the mod was secret. It was Long War 1 was a very popular mod for XCOM 1, and then the devs and publishers of XCOM 2 actually reached out to people who made Long War 1 and said, hey, will you sign an NDA and we'll pay you to make a mod for XCOM 2 that's like that? And they did. And I was on that
That's
team.
awesome.
But I was NDA and it was all very hush-hush and everything, and so I kind of disappeared from the internet for 6 months. And then the mod released and I wanted to stream it. Not necessarily because I wanted to be a content creator, but just I knew a lot about the game and how it all worked, and I wanted to make tutorials to help people play it and stuff. I wanted people to enjoy it. I had just worked really hard on it. I was a volunteer. I wasn't getting paid, so it was my passion project. And my stream just really blew up, and I was not expecting it, and all of a sudden I was thinking, oh geez, I could do this for a living. I have 200
it's crazy
people
when
here
that
every
kind
day.
of dawns on you, right?
Yeah.
Wow, people actually appreciate me just sitting on camera and doing whatever it is. And they'll watch and support me and hang out with me and get to know me better. It's really cool. And I'm sure that you having volunteered and having such passion for it and sharing that helped a lot. Because like I said in my video, I feel like people they come into a stream and they know what energy you have and they want that if it's positive, and especially if it's something to aspire to. If they really look up to you and it's something that they want to have in their own lives, whether it's being a content creator themselves or just having that drive to do whatever it is they want to do with their lives, they'll hang out with people who are in a common mindset, because it's oh, if I spend more time with this person, maybe it'll rub off on me a little, and then I can go and be a superstar and whatever I want to do with my future and my career.
Is that why you hang out with me, chat? You want to learn how to what am I even good at? I don't know. Sometimes I get that. One of my things that I've tried to do increasingly is I started off streaming kind of this is how you play strategy games and just kind of tutorializing games. showing how I won on the highest difficulty for something or something like that. And people enjoy watching that because they want to win on the highest difficulty too, right? And then something that I've tried to do more now that I've been a content creator for longer is I've started trying to connect the things that I've learned in strategy games to the rest of the world. Because I've noticed I have a lot of people in my audience who are really good at strategy games, but who have questions about the rest of the world and aren't necessarily making the connection that, like, I play games which teach me problem-solving skills and how to make complicated decisions and are constantly testing me and asking me to be my best and stuff like that. And those are all skills that I can actually use in the rest of my life. And
patience.
And patience. Patience is a huge
I feel
one.
like not necessarily just strategy games teach patience, but it's something that is really useful, and hand-eye coordination, because it's a lot more useful than you'd think it is. I personally am a very clumsy person, so I feel like being a gamer and having those reflexes have helped me as I've gotten older, and I'm a lot less clumsy than I was when I was a kid.
I always enjoy reading the studies that are like, doctors who play video games are less likely to have mishaps in surgery or whatever, and I always just find myself wondering who commissioned that study. Like, somebody really wanted to justify their video game habit, I feel like.
Yeah.
And good for them.
I mean,
good for them.
I personally have a little bit of a tremor sometimes that I even struggle if I'm doing my own eyeliner. When I'm doing my makeup, sometimes it just doesn't come out right on some days. So I'm like, I don't think me playing video games would help me in a surgery room at all. But to each their own, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I could not be a doctor. That's a type of knowledge that is beyond me.
And it's funny. I thought about that for a while when I was a kid. So I was like, oh, I just want to help people. And then I guess in my head, I was like, oh, if I want to help people, I'll just be a doctor. Which, sure. But there are so many other careers you can do where you help people, even if it's in smaller ways.
Doctor is a great way to help people while getting paid a lot of money, though, if that's also a thing that's important.
And probably not getting much sleep, too. Which,
oh, gosh, yeah.
I need my sleep. I don't know if that's something that I would be able to manage.
And unreasonable hours. Actually has a lot in common with streaming. How do you feel about setting hours as a streamer who also has a, like, do you have like a 9-to-5 job, or what's your... Yeah.
I do, yeah. And that's something that I gave a lot of thought because I stopped streaming early November of last year, and I just came back in October because of all of these things that happened. I was like, I should probably get back into creating content so I can have something else to show for myself with my plans for next year. So I thought about it, and I was like, I don't think I can do more than 2 days a week. It's just not realistic for me, especially since having a full-time job. I have to think about everything that I need to do for my personal life, like running errands and taking care of the home. And then, like I said in chat, I'm a cat girl. I have 2 cats. So obviously, I have to take care of my pets and spend time with them. That's really important. Even if cats are a little more independent, they need attention too, especially my younger one, who's about 7-8 months now. So he's still a baby and he's very needy.
One of my cats regularly requests attention on stream, and the other one just hides all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's a constant thing, and I have to think about that. So I decided to stick to 2 days a week. So one of them is Wednesdays, the other one is Sundays. So I have one during the week, like right in the middle when I've kind of gotten my bearings from work.
Sure.
Monday and Tuesday. And then Sundays, it's the weekend, but I still have Saturdays if I need to get things done during the day that I can't get done during the week because of work. But also, I'm one of those people that has unlimited PTO. So I do use it sparingly, but it's something that I keep in mind. So I'm like, I can still balance my creative work and take those days off if I have to. So that's really nice. But
Yeah.
just a personal advice for anyone who's a full-time employee somewhere and would like to start creating content. If you're new to the space, I would say start with 1 day a week so you can kind of see how you feel about it before you jump into it fully. And then try 2 days and go up from there. And I feel like it helps.
As somebody who streams full-time, one of my goals recently in life has been to have weekends. A long time ago, I worked out how I wanted my streaming schedule to look. Like, what was the perfect day of streaming for me? I wake up at this time, I do this and this and this for breakfast, I get a walk-in after stream and everything. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I didn't ever ask myself what I wanted my perfect weekend to look like. Like, and what does it look like when I take time off? And so I just didn't take time off for
I've been there.
a very long time. And as someone trying to balance time off with time on in streaming, like even just streaming 2 days a week is actually a lot. It's incredible how much this job can consume of your life. Like you just said you stream on Wednesdays and Sundays. It is a Tuesday right now. It's a Tuesday evening, and here you are doing extra things.
I'll be back on tomorrow. But I had today off, so I was thinking about that, especially when I reached out to you and you mentioned the dates that you would be streaming and when you would be doing this. It's like, okay, I think if I do Tuesday the 26th, since I already have the day off, I'll still have plenty of time to rest, and then I can work tomorrow and still have the energy to stream. Because I'll be honest, sometimes I just don't feel like getting on camera. It's just not something that I feel excited about doing after a long day of work sometimes. So either I'll just cancel all the way through on Wednesdays and be like, I'll see you Sunday, or I'll stream in my Discord instead, and I'll just do whatever I was originally gonna do. I've been trying to get a lot more consistent with my weekday streams, but I've learned to teach myself that it's okay if I'm not feeling up to it, and I just take a day off and maybe work it out in a way that I can still do something with the community and I don't have to throw a camera on. Because I just don't feel right getting on stream without my camera turned on. It's just not me.
Yep, that's all hard. Streaming's tough because the work in front of a camera that you do is so different from the work that you do off camera, and sometimes it can be hard to give yourself credit for all of the things that you're doing off camera, which can be a tremendous amount of stuff. But if you're not appreciating that you're doing all of that work, it just kind of flies under the radar, and then you're thinking, gosh, I barely even streamed this week or whatever, when in reality you just put in like an extra 20 hours on top of your 40-hour-a-week regular job in order to, I don't know, set up some sort of Discord event or something like that that you're just not even thinking about. Or maybe you just spent an hour like trying to get ready to do a show and ended up deciding, no, I'm not feeling it today, actually. That hour was work, even if it didn't ever turn into anything.
Exactly. And I think it's okay to give yourself credit for that. And I'm getting myself out of the habit of not acknowledging the little things that I do behind the scenes, especially as a variety creator, because I do variety.
Oh yeah,
content,
there's
so
like trying to work out what game you're gonna play as well is a huge part of variety.
Like, I'm just gonna do what makes me happy, and if everyone wants to see it, that's great. We can talk about what I'm doing. If not, that's fine too. I'll see you next time. And that's just how I've been. I've been very casual about it because it's not something that I'm doing full time. And I have other ways that I'm being creative that I'm even more passionate about than the actual streams. So I'm just doing what I think might start some conversation and sparks joy, like I always say. And that's how I go about it. And sometimes that takes me going down lists of new games that are coming out in the upcoming future and watching YouTube video reviews on things just to see if it might interest me. And it's a lot of research. And that takes the most time for me, I would say.
I have an extremely turbulent relationship with emails that reach out asking me if I want to do something. Because on the one hand, I've had some of the best times of my life after responding to emails like that. Sometimes the thing you're being invited to do is a really cool thing, and you might not have even considered that you could do that until you got an email asking you to. And other times, I've come to the end of a month and just thought I haven't had a single day off, and I did like 6 extra things and they were fine, but I am so tired.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes on off camera. I pay 3 people to do work for me, and they do work for me like most days of the week. And most streamers don't have 3 people helping them out with like YouTube content and talking with sponsors and stuff like that. Like, yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, you're constantly selling yourself, whether it's the streams themselves or a product you're sharing in the stream or on social media, or if you create something on a different platform like YouTube or TikTok or Instagram. It's like, oh, it's constantly look at me and this cool thing that I did and give feedback on it. And it's just the constant cycle of doing that. And even if you get to a point where you've made it really big and you're like, oh, I've peaked, it doesn't stop, because you just have to keep doing it so that you can sustain yourself within the career. And that's where it gets it can get tiresome, and you can get that burnout really quickly. But I wanted to ask you, what has been your favorite collaboration that you've received an email about that you're like, oh, this is really cool? Because like you said, there have been some that you didn't think you could do, but someone reached out to you and you were open to the opportunity.
Yeah. This is maybe not the angle you were expecting the answer to come from, but I had some researchers from the University of Washington reach out at the start of the pandemic to say we're working on, they were working on creating, I don't know all the medical terminology, but they had worked out what the shape of the coronavirus spike was, and they were working on a game where people would make a medicine that matched to the binders of that spike to stop it from binding with the human body. So the idea was you could have something in a fluid that would be in patients in a hospital, and it would go through your body and find the coronavirus and bind to it, so the coronavirus couldn't bind to you anymore. Folding at home style, kinda, yeah. If you're familiar with folding at home, which does the same thing for protein folding in other places. What's ligma? Chat trying to embarrass me too much. And so yeah, I had them on and they showed me the game, and that was really, really cool. That sprung to mind immediately. It's often most interesting to me when I get to connect with someone who is in some way near the gaming space, but not in a way that I'm used to. So those were researchers using a game to do medicine, basically. And that's really cool, but not something I'd ever really thought about before. And then all of a sudden I got to be a part of it.
Yeah, I feel the same way about getting more involved in the mental health space in gaming, because it's something that's super important, but it's not necessarily that it's not talked about, but it's not the first thing. Like, it's not on the forefront of people's minds when it comes to live streaming or being a competitive gamer. And it's something that you need to take care of so that you're able to do this kind of work, because it's so tiring. And the parasociality of it all, and all of these other concepts that come to mind when it comes to actually connecting with an audience. And now that I'm such a part of it, thanks to everything that I've been researching this year, it made me wish that I could have been a part of it sooner. But I wouldn't have thought about it if it hadn't been for the mentorship program. So
Sure.
I feel like we just find our place within this space, and once we're in it, we're just like, okay, I feel set here. And I'm sure that's probably what contributed to you releasing your book. Like having that experience with those researchers, it probably sparked a little thing in your brain that was like, okay, I think I can write this book about my experiences that I've had over the past 6-7 years. And
I think it was the combination of me losing interest in charity work, ironically, as I'm doing charity work, and me not being on the team I had been on anymore, which I've always had some amount of be on camera energy, which is necessary as a streamer. If I do this, if I'm on camera 30 hours a week or whatever, like I need to have enough energy to do that. But then I also have analyzed something really deeply, energy, and that is often convenient as a strategy gaming streamer. Often it's just like, well, I'll analyze the game I'm playing really deeply. Cool, content, whatever. But I don't always want to do that. That energy tends to stray away from streaming a bit. And so, like, there was a year where I focused on charity work really hard and used the energy for that. And I joined a team and I focused the energy on like understanding how the team worked and things like that. And coronavirus kind of killed my charity year.
yeah.
And also some other stuff that was going on. And then the team died shortly after. And so I had all that energy spare and started writing a book. And I don't really know. I didn't give it that much thought, I guess. I just started writing. And then I had written a book eventually.
Yeah, it kind of felt in some instances like we were reading a journal of your story.
Yeah.
The way that it was written, and that's what I love the most about it, because in my head I'm like, I don't know who this person is, and I hadn't watched a single stream of yours, so I was like, I don't know what I'm getting myself into reading this, but just seeing the summary of it, I was like, I think it'll be really helpful for my research. And of course it was, but I also was like, wow, I feel like I know this person now, and like I've been a part of their community forever. And that's the kind of literature that I enjoy when it comes to nonfiction specifically. So I definitely appreciated that, because if some people come across it like I did, not knowing who you are, it's a great way to actually meet you without meeting you, in a sense. So it definitely feels weird being here now, because this is not something that I expected when I first picked it up.
Sure. I'm glad to have you.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. It's nice to actually get to know you a little bit more beyond just words on a page.
Yeah. I'm always humbled that people are willing to take a chance on me. Like read an entire book without knowing me to begin with. And
yeah, I feel like my Twitter algorithm just did a really good job at throwing it on my feed, because that's how I found it. I don't remember exactly who, I wish I did, who retweeted it or whatever they did, that it came up on my For You feed. And I was like, huh, this might work for my video. So I'm gonna take a look. And I looked at the synopsis on Amazon and I was like, oh, this is it. And then I just couldn't put it down. I think I still have, I do. I'm pretty sure I still have the annotations on.
hear this, chat? You
Other
should read
books
my
that-
book, apparently.
You can
Yeah?
see all the little stickies.
Yeah.
Great book.
It's very cool to write a book. I don't know if I'll do it twice, but I would recommend that anyone try to do it once. It's very different from anything else I've ever done as a content creator. Challenging in very different ways, but also rewarding in ways that so much content that we make online feels very temporary. It's there until the game stops being important to people, or you make a review of a movie and then the movie stops mattering, or but
Yeah.
with a book
And then
like that,
obviously trends resurface. So like if, for example, if you post a video on YouTube, it'll do great for maybe a couple weeks while whatever the topic is trending. But maybe 3-4 years will go by, and then for some reason that topic has resurfaced.
Yep.
So then people will start searching again. So it's not as good of a comparison. It's just, this is gonna be on my bookshelf forever. And then if people talk about streaming, I'll be like, oh hey, I read this book by this person and it was great. And it'll just keep having that life to it.
Yep.
I just feel like you can take your time with it compared to other content, because you can rewrite things as much as you want before you publish it. But
that was really nice, and that lets you be a lot more personable than most content would.
And then you can go back to, like, let's say you write a second chapter and then you're on chapter 5 and you're thinking about the things you wrote in chapter 2. Oh, I forgot about this thing that I didn't mention. You can go back and add it, because as you're writing, you'll remember other things that might have come up or you might have experienced that you think might be good to share too. So it's a great way to make sure that you're sharing everything you want to and condensing it as much as you'd like, or extending it as much as you'd like. And you don't have to psych yourself out about it like editing a video, because I feel like I do that a lot.
Yeah. I think I finished my first manuscript in 2 months, and from there it took about 16 months to publish. And those 16 months were editing myself and also having 3 editors, 2 of whom I hired and 1 of whom was provided by my publisher, go through it and talk through everything with me as well. So I have never refined content as much as I did what I wrote in that book. Not even close. Most of the videos I make, I start and finish within, honestly, a day. But like a week even for one that I'm working on for quite a while. And spending 16 months trying to say something in the way that you feel you want to say it turns out to help you do a good job.
You give yourself time to read it over and say, actually, I don't like how I worded that. Let me go back. And especially if you have a team like you did that read it over with you, you can ask them, okay, objectively, what do you think about what I wrote in this chapter?
Yep.
Or how do you think I could rewrite it, because I just don't feel right about it? And someone who's completely not in the space that you're in at all, because they're not streamers, can just see it so differently. And that's something that I feel like is really helpful with us in general. Just having someone who's not a creative look at your content and give you honest feedback about it, because they're a viewer. So they can give you that real opinion of someone as a viewer, and if they would keep watching or not because of whatever reasons they want to share with you.
Yep. The only thing I would say about that is taking advice from someone. Don't take advice from someone you wouldn't take criticism from. Because I think a lot of creators get criticized constantly. Like, there are all sorts of negative parts of interacting with a large group of semi-anonymous people every day for your job, and people will show up in your channel and not like what you're doing, and they'll say something mean and leave. And creators learn to ignore those people or stop creating. That's basically your 2 options.
I feel like there's no in between.
But you know that that person, like, well, your channel wasn't for them. The thing they said wasn't very well thought through. They were just being mean, etc., etc. You know that what they said isn't useful to you. And we don't necessarily build the same boundary for advice, where people will give you polite, well-meaning, constructive advice instead of being critical. But sometimes those people still, your content still isn't for them. They still haven't thought through what they're saying. They still don't actually understand your situation. And I the point where you run into problem with criticism is a lot sooner than the point where you run into problems with advice. But you do actually reach a point where the advice that you're getting from people who don't quite understand everything that's going on becomes overwhelming in a different way from how the criticism becomes overwhelming, but it's still overwhelming. And you feel kind of bad about it, because like people are trying to be nice, they're well-meaning, they're giving you ideas that they think are good, but they're not working for you. And you don't know what to say to this person who's just trying to help you.
Yeah, I feel like that's often a thing, and I feel like sometimes I take the mentality of, okay, I'm gonna ask you for your opinion, but I'm still gonna do what I want anyway. I just want your perspective.
Yep, for sure. Which is a good way to do.
9 times out of 10, we just want the validation of what we were thinking of doing anyway. So when the person's like, yeah, I agree with that, it's like, okay, great. I feel good now. Yeah. That's serotonin that I needed. Thank you for giving that to me. So then if they go against that, it's like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna do what I want anyway, because I feel like that's what I need to do, and it's totally okay to.
Yeah. I think I have successfully found like 5 people who I consider really good friends, who really understand me, who know what my experience of the world is like, who I feel like I can ask for advice on anything, and they'll think hard about what that would be like for me and give me good advice for me. And then I also think that I have probably hundreds of people at this point where they just understand something else better than I do that isn't something that I usually interact with. So if I need advice on like, how do I interview someone for this book I'm writing, for example, I know a couple of people who I could reach out to where they know what to do. Or with mental health, in order for me to work out how I wanted to talk about mental health on my channel, I had 2 people who are trained therapists like volunteer their time to spend half an hour each chatting with me about it.
That's great.
Here are things you could do. Here's how to direct someone to a hotline. Here are things to avoid. Here's how to set a boundary, etc. So, yes. Asking for help was my resolution in 2022, I think, or maybe 2021. I try to have a general direction I'm facing in terms of my year's resolutions. This year it was to try playing lots of games that weren't Spire and just chill out. At least that was my work resolution. Yeah, I did. I got my weekends back eventually. It's been a good year. Oh.
And what do you think is your resolution for next year? Have you thought about that yet, or
next
do you prefer
year?
To think about it like the day before.
No. This will be an announcement of sorts, I guess. But next year, I want to try playing Spire a lot more.
So we're switching it over now.
Yeah. Well, as a strategy gamer, one thing that I like to do is try focusing on one thing and seeing like what's it like if you try to do your best at that one thing. And you'll learn all of these different techniques, and you'll learn exactly where your boundaries are and where your energy levels are and things like that. And then once you've worked it out, you can move on to working on something else. So I went from 70% of my time on Spire on stream in 2021, 70% of my stream hours were Spire, to only 30% this year.
Wow.
And next year I want to go back to like 70% again, but with a fresh perspective on how I'm interacting with the game and what I like about it and what about playing Spire makes me happy, stuff like that. And I'm pretty excited. I think it's going to be good. So
I think so too, especially since you decreased that percentage by so much. I feel like now you're gonna start seeing yourself saying, oh, I really missed streaming this, and I'm glad I'm getting back into it the way I used to, and I'm not feeling exhausted about it. Especially if you're having new strategies come up that you want to try, and taking a different approach, it's gonna feel like a new game entirely.
100%. Oh, I am not sure if I want to do another run. I've been going for almost 8 hours.
It's a whole shift.
It is a whole shift. I said I was going to do 10 hours a day this week. But another thing about my goals is I like to say that I'm aiming toward them, but I don't mind if I fail at them.
It's okay to do that. It's okay to say I would like to do this, but if I don't, it's okay. I've taken that mentality this year, and I'm gonna continue to take it with me because it's so important.
Yeah.
Especially at 8 to 10 hours. Just I feel like 6 hours or more is just too much.
I
for
feel
me
like
personally.
6 to 7 hours was the common guideline I was told for, like, that's what your full workday should be if you're a full-time streamer. People trying to do more than that are just burning themselves out and not getting much benefit from extra. But I was told that if you're trying to be a full-time streamer and doing less than that, it can be hard to I was told that you have to make a lot of content basically in order to grow as a streamer, and so you needed to be doing those sorts of hours. And I'm not sure if that advice is true. Now that I'm sitting here having done it all, I feel like the more important thing is to make content that is high impact. And you can have high impact content because you're always live while someone's at work. That can be a way to be high impact because people will be like, I'm at work. Oh, I'm gonna watch Jorbs. I trust him. He's going to be there, etc. That's a way to have a high impact in someone's life, I guess. But you can also make high impact content by like making a really high quality podcast once a week. And
it's also a matter of the different audiences you're able to reach. So I feel like that's the one reason why maybe streaming longer hours can be more effective because of time zones.
Yeah.
There are people that live massively in the future, so daytime streams in US time work better for them. But then there are the people that live more in our time zone, so then they would prefer nighttime stream because they don't want to watch while they're at work, so they'd rather watch after work. So if you're able to pick up on a couple different time zones, you'll be able to reach all kinds of people. But then the problem with that is if you decide to stick to specific hours, you might lose some people that were initially watching you when you did 10-hour streams because they're sleeping or doing whatever and they're not available anymore, and you're not streaming at the time they were used to. So.
YouTube has been key for me for that. I think a lot of my success as a streamer is because I haven't had a schedule. Actually, I have just kind of streamed whenever I wanted, which means that I can be live for lots of people at lots of different times, and they'll see my stream and they'll think, well, that was a good time. I'm going to check out his YouTube. And my YouTube publishes a video at the same time every day. That's reliable content that they can build into their routine. While
there's no specific formula that works for everybody. You just gotta kind of figure out what your audience prefers and work with them rather
trial
than
and error and some luck. Yeah.
Exactly.
I am going to go have dinner, I think. Do you have any closing?
For so long.
Do you have any closing thoughts? Or do you want to plug your stuff or anything that you're excited about coming up this year or anything like that?
Sure. Actually, I should probably put my video.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a good video. And my book is cited in it, so...
I don't know if links are allowed.
They should be. It should be good.
So that YouTube link in chat is the video where Jorbs' book is. So if you want to hear more about the book, there's a segment about that. But it's called Sustainability and Resilience in Streamers. And I go into 5 different concepts that I feel like are really important to focus on when it comes to finding that success within yourself, not necessarily within the numbers. You'll see that you might learn to love streaming a lot more and see yourself thrive if you focus on these things. That's just my opinion. I feel like a lot of people agreed with me, and that's why I was able to get the interviews that I got and the content that I got out of those interviews. And I shared some personal tidbits as well with my journey, especially because I took a year off. So I learned a lot during that time, and I hope that you all are able to learn something too, even if you're not a content creator and you just want to care about your mental health a little bit more.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
I will
Enjoy your dinner and
Thank you.
hydrate and take care of yourself.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
Chat. Thanks for hanging out. I am going to... Yeah, I'm tired. I'm going to... Gosh. I have never... Another thing that I've never done in like a volume sort of period is had guests, which is a whole different sort of energy. It's a thing that I'm realizing. I'm like physically, socially, and intellectually sated right now. It's wild. I feel like turning my stream off and sitting in my chair for 2 minutes and turning into a potato. But it's been a great time.